What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Dust 2 US TV show. I've got Lucas DeWitt here with me, otherwise known as Lucas at Dust 2, longtime member of RBM, now over here with Dust 2. We're going to be talking about all of NA's successes and some failures from today's Cologne play-in. Definitely a tough day. It was a long day. For me, it started about over 12 hours ago at 4:30 in the morning. It's 5 o'clock now, just 5 minutes after the start of the first match that we saw, which was Complexity playing. And then Complexity was one of the last matches that we saw, and we saw them get sent home. Lucas, obviously a tough day for the Complexity crew. You wrote an article about them saying that this was kind of their last chance here. Obviously, I think we just got to start off with that. I think Complexity not even winning a map is a major disappointment here.
Yeah, I agree totally. I think that floppy interview that we posted earlier today, that headline rang totally true. It was play in or bust, advancing the play in or bust, excuse me. And we talked about it on that opinion piece that we launched. And it was more of the same with Complexity at this event. We saw when that first game on Ancient, Junior was playing well, Floppy and Fang aren't there. And then, Astralis against Astralis, Grimm's playing well JT's not, neither is Floppy, and Fang's playing well. So the stars weren't ever synced. They couldn't get their map pool figured out. And if nothing else, I think this is probably the end of Complexity at least this lineup. At least that's what logic suggests. Will management pull the trigger? Don't know.
Yeah, I think it's definitely tough at this point. You can't really look at this scenario and say, we're going to continue on with the same five. They haven't won a series 10 in a row. They've consistently bombed out at events. I can understand if there are some rays of hope in this, but it genuinely looks like this is the worst lineup that we have seen in like a tier 1 competitive level. They just can't win.
Oh, yeah.
And I like, they're good individual. The puzzling part is that they're good individual players. I still am a Junior believer. I believe that he can be good. I believe the height's on Triumph. Here, it's just not working. And I don't know why it's not working here. He was good on Bad News Bears, and he's just not making it work here on Complexity. Is the level of competition higher? Sure. But you got to be at least able to have some games. I would say, and this is probably the worst thing I could say, today was probably his best day in Complexity in a long while. And even then, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, and I think that was, I don't know if that couldn't have been the most Junior way to go about it. When everything is just kind of DOA and we're really clamoring for some kind of positive, and then the entire team flounders, but then Junior comes alive. It's just that's exactly what was going to happen in the most NA way. The one thing that really concerned me about this lineup, and still concerns me, Floppy mentioned it in the interview we did with him, and I believe this is the second or third time that Complexity players have talked about travel issues, how they haven't really handled the flights well. I believe Dubai was the other time. And so, every other team is in this same boat. They're all making the same travel, the same travel expenses, the same tolls on their body, the same camaraderie that goes with being a pro. So it's a little alarming that we're this far in and they're still having issues with kind of standard practices as a professional. So I don't know if that also plays into the gameplay, but that is something outside of the server that alarms me as well.
I kind of want to agree with you there, but I do want to push back a little bit just because I don't think that we have a lot of these kids being the real T1 pros that we see them as, right? Floppy really only blew up over the pandemic, really kind of blew up in that extra salt roster, and
That's fair.
The Cloud9 through everything. So he had to deal with Serbia, but he wasn't traveling. He was just in Serbia.
Okay.
And then it's all of this. So he's not used to the travel. Junior was really not used to the travel, except for that time on Furia. And again, he didn't really handle it well on Furia. Grimm, Team Liquid. He has the experience. So he's the one player that I could go ahead and be like, okay, fine. Yeah, he probably has some ability there. But I don't know, man. Fang, new guy. Completely new rookie. He doesn't have it. And JT, he actually probably has it out of anyone the most.
Yep.
So I don't know. There's some players have it, some players don't. I think overall together they need more togetherness. But you're right. You have been a professional. You're under an organization that's giving you the best services in the entire world. You can't be struggling like this. So
I agree.
All right, let's move on. We could talk all day about complexities, failures.
Right.
I don't want to. Fang looked good. Fang was a
Yeah.
shining light, and I guess we got to see things from Junior today that like he top fragged in the Spirit game. That was great.
Yep.
We haven't seen that, but
Yeah.
other than that, I'm kind of like at a loss for words of how we move on here.
Yeah. Whatever they do, I think it needs to be expansive, whether it's like two players or like a philosophical change. Maybe that's like coaching or bringing in a coach, maybe bringing in like a sports psychologist or something. But yeah, I'd like to see like at least like Fang and like one other stick around. I don't know. There's so many ways you could go about it, but I like Fang and Floppy, and I haven't given up on Grim.
I would never give up on Grim. Never.
Right.
All right, so let's move on. Let's talk to the other eliminated team here, Pain Gaming.
Yep.
This was tough. This was tough because they blew it. They blew it against Mouse. They had that lead. They had everything there, and they just could not put that game to bed. They let Mouse come all the way back on their T side. A nuke T side, and they let Mouse just run rampant. They were up, I think, at the half. What was the scoreline? It was like 10-5, and they just let him come back in. So that's something that you can't do, and it really, really showed because once they let that door open, they took it. Frozen was carrying them heavily throughout this game. Heavily. He was on fire throughout it all. Trying to think of some good spots out of there. I don't know. I just think it comes down to not being clutch enough to be able to really lock it down.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right when it comes down to not being able to finish it, and I think that largely comes with the inexperience of the five that are representing Pain. Like if you look at their online results, I mean they have like a 3-1 like win to loss ratio, and then if you skip that over to land, and I'm looking at this is all filtered for this year on HLTV right now. We're talking a 7-11 win loss record at LAN. So that translation going from online to LAN, it's just not quite happening yet. If you look at their attendances, it's not constant. Like we are getting them once a month. So like we saw them at Antwerp, we saw them at Blast, but of course they had to qualify for that, and then now they're at the play-ins. So they don't have. We're talking about complexity, right? Complexity, they got invited to the Dubai event and they get invited to other events that Pain probably won't ever. And, we're talking two teams in the same boat in kind of a way. Pain is kind of making the most out of their opportunities, in my opinion. So, like, yes, they did lose these games, and that does suck short term. But, on paper, they were still playing two teams that are ranked higher than them. And they're still, and like you said, Frozen did pop off in that game. And there are things that they can come back. And Sprout's a good team. Like Sprout beats the teams that they're supposed to, and they're still somewhere in that middle. And they've had some rotations and stuff in their lineup. So if Pain had the same amount of opportunities as Complexity, or do they perform better? I don't know.
That's an interesting question, right? I think there were a lot of times, even during that Spirit match, where they had 5v3 advantage situations, and you expect a more experienced team or someone that is, I don't know, better at communicating, better at figuring things out. They're able to close those rounds out. And if Complexity does those rounds, then I think it's a completely different ballgame. I think we're looking forward to tomorrow to seeing where Complexity lines up. With Pain, it is tough.
Oh yeah,
Mouse is no walk in the park. They've always been a good team. They have experienced players that have been around the block. IMS is good. Dexter has been around there forever. Frozen is obviously one of the best prodigies that we have in World CS, and then JDC, who's really come up from that team. And then we moved on to the elimination BO3 against Sprout. That went 3 maps. Each team won their pick. Like everyone's getting like 10 rounds, even in a loss. That's not like any team really got blown out. Teams they were in it. People were trying to go back and forth. And it wasn't their day. Really wasn't their day here. They do got to be better, especially for Pain. They have now they're no longer that North American team that's kind of searching and scrambling for recognition. They've gotten it. They get their recognition. They're in NA. People know them. People are afraid of them. So now's the time that they really started proving on land. I'll say they did better than Complexity today, but they got to really do better.
Yeah. And they're in in a much different situation from the start of this year where, they are filling in the spots for players that are being, shipped off to larger teams. Like they're being picked apart from
Yeah.
larger Brazilian teams. Complexity, for all intents and purposes, they got their pick when they picked these 5 players in North America. Jason Lake decided I wanted to stay in America. And, obviously the talent pool isn't super deep, but he did get a full say in what he wanted. So,
Yeah.
Payne makes the most of what they have in front of them, and Complexity with this, rigorous slate of resources behind them to do whatever they want for them. Um, and they haven't produced. It's just a little bit disheartening, especially when we've been here for 7 months now.
Yeah. All right, I think we now got to talk about our more Brazilian friends, the Brazilians that are still in it. We have Zero Zero Nation, MIBR, and Imperial. Let's start off with Zero Zero Nation. Let's start off with some happiness. Some good times rolling here. They blew the fuck out of Astralis.
Yep.
Absolutely crushed them.
Yeah.
16-6. I wasn't expecting this game at all. It was nuts. We're trying to figure, we're doling out, because obviously you're in our group and everything, and we're trying to figure out, okay, who's got this match, who's got that match. All of a sudden I'm checking one of the other streams. I'm like, wait, what do you mean that Zero Zero Nation had a 10-5 half on Mirage? Like, what is happening here? And then it wasn't even just that. It was, oh, no. They're actually now going to convert this whole thing. Like, they're now going to go ahead. They won the pistol, and it's like it was over in a flash. It was so crazy. So what do we think initially of Zero Zero Nation and the formation? Obviously, it really only happened like a day or two ago that it was officially announced. Was it last night? 2 nights ago. Something like that.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Honestly, there's so much going on. But regarding like this lineup, what I really liked about that win, because they did have some matches prior to Cologne. There's just a couple, and those were all online. But what I appreciated about this victory over Astralis, besides the fact that it was a major upset, it was the young talent that did it for them. It wasn't the Coldzera Taco pairing that like really set them apart and like gave them that kickstart. It was Try who dominated on the T side, and then Lato who came through in the first half. As far as like CT side, him and Dumao played well. Now, if you look at the score line, it's all green, for 0-0 Nation, but it's not really. It's more of like the manner in which it happened. We didn't see like Coldzera just activate because he finally got Taco, which in my opinion would have been worrying. Like if they would have blown him out, but Coldzera plays really well and everyone else kind of struggles because then he's doing the whole like using Taco as a piece to do really well. But it was Try who dominated with the op. It was Lotto and Dumao. And I mean, Dumao, we have been very open about his ability, at least in our region. He's been on the team of the month twice. So
good. He's one of the best players. Oh, yes. Absolutely. So very, very excited about Lotto and Dumao kind of getting this opportunity. I think that Taco is and has really developed to be a very strong IGL. He really did that with Godsend. He's only kind of improved himself there. I think the Godsend project, I had a lot of doubts about it at first, but it's become a really solid thing for him. And to have this core group kind of moving over in recent days has really shown how good that Taco can be when he has certain players around him. Now, it is a little weird because I would think that Henny is a better opera than Try at certain times, but Try seems to have really flourished in a system like this. And Coldzera as well, kind of being here, like he's no longer going to be like the absolute star player. It's a big of we're going to make sure that everyone here can really flourish. So yeah, I think this has been great. Try went 24-8. He had a 1.89 rating. His cast was 90.9. Lotto's cast was 95.5. Like,
that's
we're looking at
activity.
players that are insanely team oriented.
Yep.
Everyone is working for one another, and everything is kind of falling into place there. Unfortunately, then when they tried to go into the upper bracket quarterfinal to see who would advance on to the IEM Cologne, you had a player like you had Spirit and 0-0 Nation facing off, where 0-0 Nation unfortunately fell 2-1. So we can do that. I think that we can get the brackets up if we can put them on the stream. I know I'm looking off camera. I'm doing a whole janky setup here. Martin's just telling me that we have things. Okay, great. So we have this. So we have Spirit. So we have the results over here. The other result, which is crazy, that we can touch on a little bit, but Vitality 0-2 against Movistar?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, wasn't that
Like,
something? I had a double take at that one.
what is wrong with Vitality at this point? I have no answers. I have no understanding of why they're this bad. But how do you have players like Zaiwu and be this bad? You can't be this bad. Is Zaiwu Fraud Watch is coming, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, okay. I think you're gonna be the first and only person on that that bandwagon.
You know what? I can't wait. I hope that we clip this, and I hope that we put it onto Twitter just with the lines Zaiwu Fraud Watch. Ryan's here. Like,
yeah,
I'm in on it. I'm sold.
Mel's on your ass. That's all I'm saying.
But yeah, overall the bracket looked tough no matter what.
Oh yeah.
All these teams here. I think if we have the lower bracket, great. So we have the matchups that we're gonna see tomorrow. So Imperial versus Order is gonna be a really strong game. I think that should go Imperial's way, even though Imperial looks completely lost. Like,
yeah, they need to be able to beat Order.
Well, but like, I just couldn't figure out what their glitch was today. Like, I looked at it and I was like, how? Like, I understand Outsiders is a good team, right? We all get that. The additions of Norbert and Fame have actually been very strong for them. But 16-6, like, this is a team that at the major really showed promise. What has happened? Do we think that people have just found them out? Do we think people are preparing them more? They're taking them seriously?
I think we just got a flash in the pan peak at the major. I mean, we're talking about the lineup that we're talking about. These guys are 5 tenured and very well experienced players, not only in the majors, but outside of them. Of course, we have the Brazilian group that won 2 majors, and then Boltz himself, doing it almost solo. Not solo, but as far as not including those other 4 members. And if you look at their results, they haven't been performing particularly well since the major anyway. So was that a combination of riding the high of potentially the last major together, the last dance, honeymoon period, Burr playing exceptionally well? I think it was a huge combination of that, because I don't think Burr has been really jumping off the pages since the major.
Yeah. So, no, I agree. It's definitely difficult and it's unfortunate. All right. So and then we're looking at MIBR Tai Lu. That again should be another thing. I think the Brazilians kind of got graced with a little bit of an easier Oceania things. Maybe it's skill level wise, it's the same thing. Maybe we'll see Order and Imperial. Maybe that's a fair matchup. We'll see it in the BO3 starting at 6:30 Eastern tomorrow. But then after that, we have Mao's playing MIBR, and then we're going to have the Brazilian battle of 0-0 Nation versus Imperial, which I think should go 0-0 Nation's way, given how they've performed recently. So we'll have one Brazilian team guaranteed to go through to join Team Liquid, but that seems to be the only guarantee.
Yeah.
MIBR are good, but I don't know how good they're going to be against Mao's. What's your take?
I think that if Pain... Okay, obviously they just played 1 match, so this is not really a totally fair assessment, but I do perceive Pain, at least in a matchup perception, like MIBR versus Pain head-to-head, I personally prefer Pain. That's just my bias. Like, I like them more. And, they're kind of talent-wise in the same realm, so if Pain wasn't able to pull it off, I know that's just a best of 1, so maybe not the fairest assessment, but I don't think MIBR will be able to. But I fully expect them to beat Tai Lu. Tai Lu, absolutely, they should beat.
Without a doubt. And especially because the MIBR played so well against Movistar Riders, who then went on to 2-0 Vitality, right? That game was close. It was 16-13. I think it was... I'm trying to remember the exact rounds. I'm going on. It was Agent. So obviously MIBR had that huge CT side, which CT runs that map. It's insane. You can never get a false hope. If you give a team 4 rounds on their T side, it basically is like, okay, you've lost the map almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it might be good. We need, as always, Cello to pop off. He's been one of their constant players there. He's always been very, very solid. I guess we'll just see how that's going to shape up. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see what's going to go on. I'm supportive of the MIBR boys. I think what MIBR has done with the project of not necessarily going over the flashiest names, but building a reliable and stable product be the best one that they had. What do you
Yeah,
think?
they've done a great job building this, especially like considering what MIBR was previously. They were like the superstar studded roster. We just talked about it. The former, Imperial or the Imperial lineup now, formerly, as a part of MIBR, during that whole saga. And not all of them, obviously, but
Yeah.
looking at MIBR, I think the recent changes that they've made, like moving away from Woody, I do think has panned out, which I think at the point in time people were a little skeptical of it because he was coming off a pretty solid, that his tenure this year was, he was doing particularly well. And then making that rotational switch, and then I believe Cello, off the top of my head, is in-game leading, and he's been particularly individually strong, which is not always, something that you would expect from somebody picking up that role. But yeah, it's kind of the same instance with Payne. It's a young team as far as like LAN experience. When you look at not even just the five, because obviously they're new together, but the core four, the results are night and day when it's online versus LAN, and that's going to come with time, and especially with these smaller Brazilian teams, they need time. And I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but unlike our North American counterparts, these Brazilian teams, they do progressively improve every time
Yeah.
we've seen them at LAN, which a win over Tyloo here would be a solid indicator that they're improving.
It would at least be a little bit of help. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would at least give them something to be looking forward to and to be like, okay, we've got this. We can our feet under ourselves. We can push forward. We can
this
do
lineup
this.
only has 12 maps together on LAN. So whatever they can get, it would be awesome. Like anything that they can get out of this event would be ideal. But I will note that they did beat Tyloo before at Pro League. So. At the conference, excuse me.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how things go. I'm hoping that we can at least try and get 3 teams in for Cologne. We'll have to follow each of those 3 teams around as we see all the matches go on.
We're putting all the pressure on MIBR.
So as we can see, we have Navi is going to face one of the play-in teams. We won't really know where this is, but if we have to see potential play-ins being something like going up against Navi or ENCE, just given how groups are, given how the seedings go, you know what? All I can really say is that if it's going to have to be an MIBR going up against Navi, good luck to MIBR. Let's let the boys play. Go have some fun. Go get Simple's autograph after. Like, not saying that there's going to be a big upset here. It's just saying let's get some experience. Let's go have some fun.
Yep. And in games like that, that's, from a professional sense, obviously you want to go into every game thinking you're going to win. It's what a good competitor does. You're going to make the most out of every opportunities, capitalize on mistakes, take the win. But, facing reality here, if MIBR were to play ENCE or Navi, before even focusing on getting that win, just probably trying to make the most out of each round, getting the most from a micro and a macro level, understanding tendencies, trying to gather like where you're getting punished from and stuff like that. Because if these two teams are beating you in certain predicaments, if you go back and study those demos well, you can work around those and hopefully take advantage of those workarounds against, not as good teams, since we're talking about the 2 best teams in the world, two of the three. So.
Well, all right. Well, it looks like we're coming to an end of our quick show here. We've got the schedule for tomorrow. 6:30 is when you're going to have Imperial versus Order. You're going to have MIBR versus Tyloo. Those are going to be best of 3s. The winners of that will advance on. So Order Imperial winner faces 0-0 Nation, like we were just saying. That game is scheduled for 1:30 Eastern as well. And then the winner of MIBR and Tyloo faces off against Mouse at 1:30 Eastern. We don't really care about the 10 o'clock BO3s because those are European teams. And honestly, for us, we don't really care about Europe. We're better than them. We just had our whole holiday about how great we were and how much better we were than Europe. So,
it's not a Counter-Strike.
Want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. At Underdog Fantasy, you can bet on these head-to-head bets. I actually placed a little bit of bets. I've done a little bit of stuff.
Nice.
So I did.
How'd it go?
Well, poorly. The hard part is on their pick'ems, right? Is that I'm trying to go ahead and choosing I like to do the kills. I might play a little bit more with the headshots, like which player they're going to get over or under certain headshots. But I I think, an over on Zai Wu in the Movistar Riders game because I was like, okay, Movistar MIBR was a tough one. So they're going to give Vitality, a chance here. They're going to make some games go long. The longer a game goes, the more opportunity players have to get killed. So I was like, this will be easy. This will be great.
Right.
I will totally get more than like 42 and a half. No, completely ruined it.
Right.
So had some issues on that one.
It's like when they 16-1 complexity, and it's like there wasn't even enough opportunity for Zywu to like get 20 kills.
That was one of our bets originally. So we are going to come out with our usual pick'ems though. Once everything, all the brackets are set. So our Dust 2 thing, we'll have that third article come out. We'll be tracking them on everything, which will be exciting. But yeah, so shout out to Underdog Fantasy, legal in 33 U.S. states. Always gamble responsibly. Use code DUST2 to match a $100 deposit on your up to $100 deposit. They've been a great sponsor for us, and so that's that sponsor shout out. And then other than that, I think that'll do it for us. What do we have for predictions tomorrow? Let's do that real quick. I'm thinking that it's going to be Imperial to beat Order. It's going to go 3 maps, and then 0-0 Nation takes it 2-0. And then for MIBR, it goes 2 maps. They win, but they will fall in 3 maps to Mouse. That's my prediction.
I think that's pretty spot on. I think logic would point in that direction. Absolutely. Like the big boo-boo would be Imperial losing to Order or MIBR losing to Tyloo. Definitely.
How about even if Order beat Imperial, I do not think that 0-0 Nation fall. Given the newness, just given how Taco has been such a great IGL and everything else, I still think that this team actually is they might have a good showing. They might do something good, represent the Americas.
I think they could surprise at this event.
Well,
honeymoon period and all.
Let's hope that they do. All right, and so I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you to everyone that's been tuning in. You can catch the full, if you missed any parts of the show, we are going to be uploading all of this onto our YouTube channel. We might also I might try and force directors and the people behind us to make clips and post them on Twitter and take out of context things. We'd love to
that
see
hammer.
All right, so thank you very much, and I appreciate you guys, and we will see you tomorrow again at 5 o'clock when we do this show all over again to talk about how North America did at the last day of the play-in. Until then, see you later.
See you guys.